Hello and welcome to Hellie's Clinical Trial Adventures. I don't even know which number we're on now. It's been so many. Hello, I hope you're not bored of me yet. Actually, I'm going to start this blog by saying that today when I went up to Addenbrooke's, this chap who had been in clinic came out of the lift with me, and he said, "Oh, hello, I read your blog," which was a very surreal feeling. But he was really nice, and we had a really nice chat. So that was fun. If you're on the trial and you would happen to see me running around in Addenbrooke's, do come and say hello, because I find it really interesting to talk to other people that are on the trial. There wasn't that many people in the waiting room this time, so I didn't really chat to anyone else in there. But I do find it really interesting to see people sort of, because it's staggered as well. So these people, and the guy that I spoke to today, he was coming to the end of the trial. He was actually handing in the remains drugs, and he was finished now. So he will only go and have a checkup in 3 months' time, I think. So I was grilling him properly about side effects and what you're feeling, and how's your MS doing, which is a bit funny because you end up being a bit more sort of personal, I suppose, than you would be with another total stranger. But it was almost like just because he'd been reading the blog, he knew about me, so I just decided to forget about personal boundaries and just go ahead and ask him stuff. So sorry about that if I was too forward, but it was really interesting talking to you. So what else have I got to tell you? Not much really, to be honest. I saw Dr. Nick today, and he counted my drugs, make sure that I'd taken the right amount. Had some amazing math skills there. Very fast, sort of adding up backwards and forwards with these pills. I haven't missed taking any so far, which is quite good for being me, because I am very forgetful. I noticed I've really struggled in the heat with my memory. Even like having a normal conversation with people, I get really frustrated and sort of quite angry when I lose words. So there's been a lot of having to describe words instead of saying it. So if I would ask my friend to hand me I don't know, some eggs, it would be like, the oval shapes that come out of a chicken, instead of finding the word. And it's been quite frustrating. But anyway, that doesn't really have anything to do with the trial, I don't think. I think that just had a lot to do with the heat. So it's really hard to know that if any of the things that I have been feeling, that's been feeling a bit abnormal compared to how I've been day to day before I started the trial, is actually of the drugs, or rather the heat. Because there's been headaches, there's been an awful lot of fatigue, brain fog, where I felt properly stupid, to be honest, if I'm going to be warts and all. I've really kind of felt like I struggle getting the words out and just making sense in general. I had a friend staying with me, and some days I just felt like I was almost being rude to her because I was struggling so much in trying to get my words out. That's not the best side of MS. But I've been doing stuff as well. I've been going out. I've been going to a concert, seeing some musician that I really like. Danced around lots. So I've been quite active. I've been doing things. I mean, a few weeks ago I ran the London 10K. So there's been days when I've been just knackered and not doing anything, and then there's been days when I've been very active. So it's ups and downs. And I suppose that would be that if it's placebo or the actual drugs that I'm on. So who knows? I think I mentioned an eye infection last time I did the vlog. Anyway, so I'd emailed Dr. Nick about it before I went up last time, And then I saw some other doctors, so I didn't really, I mentioned it to them, but we didn't talk so much about it because it wasn't bothering me on the day when I went up. But Nick told me today that he had looked it up to sort of all the lists of side effects for Bexarotene, and apparently conjunctivitis and eye infections could be a very rare side effect of it. But then, you know, they list anything that people have had when they've been on these trials and things as side effects, but it might not have anything to do with the drug. I know that the dry eyes, I think, is another side effect. So I don't know. I haven't had any eye problems since. I thought the dry eyes came from so many fans going around me because, you know, people put fans on in order to try and stay cool in the heat. I've always get really, really dry eyes from fans, so I sort of normally sit and suffer in silence, or go by a window instead of having the fans, because I don't know, I just find them really, I don't know, it feels like they dry out my eyeballs and they're just going to go. So I don't know if that was just a bit too much on my eyes and that's why I got the infection. Who knows? I realise when I'm saying this that I have almost kind of gone into my head to decide that I'm on the placebo, and I find that anything that could potentially be a side effect of the actual drug is due to other things. I'm not really sure why I'm so convinced that I'm on the placebo. Maybe because my values hasn't changed at all. But then they say that some people go through the trial without their values changing. So who knows? Let's talk about the actual, like, knowing or not knowing about the placebo, because I find this quite interesting. And I think I need to see if I can get Nick or Professor Coles or maybe even Karen, the research nurse, one of them, to come and explain it exactly how the trials work. Because I was asking Karen today, like, who actually knows if I'm on the placebo or the real deal? Because I thought that the people in pharmacy would know, but apparently not. And she said she uses some sort of generator where you just get allocated a number, and then you don't know if that number is placebo or the real thing. And then that number goes, so say that I'm pack 25, then that pack 25 goes to the pharmacy, and then they take that out and give it to me. And the only way that it would ever be broken is, say, if I would get really sick and they would need to know what kind of, if there's potential drugs in my system. Then they could break it for the pharmacist and even like Professor Coles and company. I think that's how it worked anyway. Yeah, I do find that quite interesting. Like I said, one part of me feel like it's fine if I'm on placebo because I'm still helping out in the trial and you know, being one of the lab rats and being a number, which is good. But I think, obviously, if the thing actually works and remyelination would occur, it would be very cool if that happened to my poor old brain, because I think, especially on the days when I've been struggling a lot, it could do with some remyelination, please. Okay, well, I think that's probably it for now. Not much else to say. Next time is going to be, I'm going up next week, but that's going to be the last for this month, and then I'm going on a monthly basis instead of a weekly basis. So that's going to be quite nice, not having to travel up to Addenbrooke's every week. But yeah, so far so good, eh? See you next week. Bye.